Yeah,
Also
please.
said that some of the governors are not appreciative of what the federal government's done, and you've suggested that some of these governors are not doing everything they need to do, like that these governors are at fault. Can you be specific? What more in this time of
Well,
a
I think
national
we've done a
emergency
great
should these
job for the
governors
state
do?
of Washington, and I think the governor, who's a failed presidential candidate, as you know, he leveled out at zero in the polls. He's constantly chirping, and I guess complaining would be a nice way of saying it. We're building hospitals. We've done a great job for the state of Washington. Michigan, all she does is she has no idea what's going on, and all she does is say, "Oh, it's the federal government's fault." And we've taken such great care of Michigan. You know the care we've taken of New Jersey. I think if you ask Governor Murphy of New Jersey, how are we doing? I think he'd say great. I think. He's a Democrat. Governor Cuomo has really said we're really doing a great job. And I saw the news conference where he was thanking the people from FEMA, the people from Army Corps of Engineers this morning. I mean, they built a hospital like in 3.5 days. And it's a big hospital in the Javits Center. And they're building medical facilities in different parts of New York. And Governor Cuomo's been appreciative. But, you know, a couple of people aren't. We have done a hell of a job. The federal government has really stepped up.
What I'm asking is, what more specifically do you want the governor of Washington?
All I want them to do, very simple. I want them to be appreciative.
Millions of school kids across the country are home, including my own, bored, restless, learning a little bit online, but it's better in the classroom. You know that.
Yeah.
And my kids, they're crawling the walls and climbing the walls, and my wife is about to lose it. Right. So many of them are watching right now. What would you say to those kids right now? Elementary school, middle school, high school. What would you tell them right now who are watching from home?
I would say that you are a citizen of the greatest country anywhere in the world. And we were attacked like nothing that's happened possibly since 1917, many, many years ago. We were attacked. And we're winning the battle, and we're going to win the war, and it's not going to take, hopefully, that much longer. But we have to win the war. And I would say that they have a duty to sit back, watch, behave, wash their hands, stay in the apartment with mom and dad. They look like they're lucky to have you as a father. And just learn from it. But, you know, the young people have been tremendous. Some of them are very happy not to go to school. You understand that? Perhaps yours, perhaps not. But we have literally had no problem. But again, they should just sit back and be very proud of our country because we're doing it for them. You know, ultimately, we're doing it for them.
Everybody who needs one will be able to get a ventilator.
Look, don't be a cutie pie, okay? You know,
It's a
everyone who
fundamental
needs one.
question.
Nobody's ever done what we've done. Nobody's done anything like we've been able to do. And everything I took over was a mess. It was a broken country in so many ways other than this. We had a bad testing system. We had a bad stockpile system. We had nothing in the stockpile system. So I wouldn't tell me what being a wise guy. Go ahead.
Before you go, could I ask you something that just popped on Wall Street Journal? It says, headline, the Trump administration plans to suspend the collection of import tariffs for 3 months, according to administration officials. True or not true?
It's not even talk to me about it. Just more fake news, John. Look, not even talk to me. They're talking about, the only one I've heard that from, like as an example, China pays 25% interest on $250 billion worth of product that they send in. That's a lot. Everybody keeps saying, oh, are you going to suspend the tariffs? Well, the answer is no, but President Xi never even brought it up last night. It wasn't even discussed. It's fake news. Tell the Wall Street Journal. You know, the Wall Street Journal does a lot of fake news, too. We've been doing more tests than any other country anywhere in the world. It's one of the reasons that we have more cases than other countries, because we've been testing. It's also one of the reasons that we're just about the lowest in terms of mortality rate. We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th.
Was floating Easter a mistake, do you think? And
No.
Does this, can you tell us why? And
It
then
was just an aspiration. We actually will be hitting, potentially, this was with our meeting before, on Easter, we probably, that could be a peak. That could be a peak period. That could be the peak, sadly to say, that could be the peak number of deaths before it starts coming down. No, that was aspirational. We had an aspiration of Easter. But when you hear these kind of numbers and you hear the potential travesty, we don't want to do anything where, you know, We don't want to have a spike up. We don't want to do it soon, and then all of a sudden you go down, you're coming down, and then you start going up again, because we discussed that can happen. And we don't want that to happen. We've gone through too much. So that was an aspirational number. I didn't say Easter. I said it would be a great thing if we could do it by Easter. And we know much more now than we knew 2-3 weeks ago. Easter should be the peak number, and it should start coming down, and hopefully very substantially from that point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, why did you publicly threaten quarantine on New York, New Jersey, parts
I
of
didn't do
Connecticut?
that at all. Read the statement. Read the statement. Read what I said. I said we're going to look into possibly quarantine. I didn't say we're going to quarantine. I looked at it as a possibility because a lot of our professionals suggested quarantine. I said we're going to look at it. We then looked at it. You see? Who are you with, Bloomberg, right? I can't imagine that. Let me just tell you, I didn't threaten it. I don't go around threatening. What happened is people, professionals, very good professionals, love the idea of doing that because that's sort of the ultimate in distancing. You can't do. They didn't want New Yorkers where they're having a problem necessarily going down to Florida where they have less of a problem. So the concept of quarantine was thrown out to me. Really would love to do it. They would love to do it. And I thought it was too much to do because the people are doing a great job with it. Also, it's very hard to enforce.
You've said repeatedly that you think that some of the equipment that governors are requesting, they don't actually need. You said New York might need
I didn't
might not
say
need
that. I didn't
30,000.
say that.
You said it on
I didn't
Sean
say- come
Hannity's
on,
Fox News.
come
You
on.
said
You know,
that
why don't you
some-
people act? Let me ask you.
You said
why
some
don't you
states-
act? Why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to
My
get you.
question to you
get
is-
you, get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
My
That's
question
why
to you is,
people,
how is that gonna
excuse
impact?
me, you didn't hear me. That's why you used to work for the Times and now you work for somebody else. Look, let me tell you something. Be nice. Don't
Mr.
be
President, my
threatening.
question
Don't
is-
be threatening. Be nice. Go
My
ahead.
question is, how is that going to impact how you fill these orders for ventilators or for masks? Your
not gonna
views that
impact.
they're not, you're not going to, it's not going to
We're
impact you at
producing
all.
tremendous numbers of ventilators. We're doing a great job on it. Mike Pence, our vice president, has headed up the task force, which has been incredible, the job they've done. We have everybody in the White House working on it. We have everybody in the country is working on this in one way or the other. The fact is we've done a great job of delivering. You've seen the biggest people in the business. I mean, there's nobody even close to this group of people. We had a meeting at 3 o'clock. It lasted for a long time. It was a great meeting with the generals and with everybody else, and they have done a fantastic job. I'm just saying this. If they're holding, let me give you one example. We sent thousands of generators to New York. They were put into a warehouse, a New York warehouse that happened to be located, interestingly, in Edison, New Jersey. They were given to New York, and we then went to other places, also giving thousands of ventilators. The people in New York never distributed the generators. We said, why didn't you distribute them? Now, you have to understand, they have New York people working in those warehouses. They knew they had them. So we said, why didn't you distribute them? I hope they've distributed them now, but maybe they didn't need them so badly. But just so you know, we're all, you, me, everybody, we're all on the same team. You know, when journalists get up, and you're a journalist, a fine journalist, when journalists get
Directly from
up
Sean Hannity.
and ask questions that are so threatening.
I was quoting
we're
you
all on the
directly
same
from your
team.
interview with Sean Hannity.
Take a look at my interview. What I want to do is, if there is something wrong, we have to get to the bottom of it. When I hear face masks go from 10,000 to 300,000, and they constantly need more, and the biggest man in the business is like shocked. He knows all about the virus, by the way. He's not surprised by that. He knows all about it. He shouldn't be surprised. He should say, well, that's standard because this is really a very tough disease. This is really a very tough virus to handle. Okay,
Mr.
please, go
President,
ahead.
Mr. President, my second
Go ahead.
question. My second
That's
question
enough.
is.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, my second
Please. That's enough. That's enough. That's not fair to your other reporters. It's not fair. You had a long time, a long question. If we have time, I'll get back to you for your second question. Is that okay? All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I do have a question for you, but I'd like to let my colleague Gimish finish her
That'll be
second question,
fine.
if that's all
Finish
right.
it. Go ahead. That'd
Thanks,
be fine.
Jeremy.
I was going to call on you next. You know that.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've also said that at one point that you thought more people might die from the economic tragedies and the economic problems in America due to the coronavirus outbreak. What health officials are telling you that? And Dr. Fauci, could you speak to that, the idea that there might be mental health and suicide related to this? Would that outpace at some point the virus's impact on this society?
Well, I
Thank
could
you.
ask Dr. Fauci to come up, but it's common sense. You're going to have massive depression, meaning mental depression. You're going to have depression in the economy also, but you're going to have mental depression for people. You're going to have large numbers of suicides. Take a look at what happens in a really horrible recession or worse. So you're going to have tremendous suicides, but you know what you're going to have more than anything else? Drug addiction. You will see drugs being used like nobody's ever used them before, and people are going to be dying all over the place from drug addiction, because you would have people that had a wonderful job at a restaurant or even owned a restaurant. I spoke to great people today that have done a great job, and one day they're at the top of their business. They're celebrity chefs. They've got the most successful restaurants, and in one day they have nothing. They've gotten wiped out one day from our enemy, this invisible, horrible scourge. So when you ask me that, it's so easy to figure that. I mean, massive drug use, massive depression, mental depression, massive numbers of suicide. Anxiety causes, disease, they say. A lot of people, you're going to have tremendous. And hopefully we're not going to have that, because hopefully by what we're doing, we get the best of both worlds. We don't have 2.2 million deaths. We have a number that's much less, much, much less. And at the same time, we get our country running again. But it says
You said,
because
I
when
want
you're
them to be
not,
appreciative. I don't want them to say things that aren't true. I want them to be appreciative. We've done a great job. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mike Pence, the task force. I'm talking about
Thank
FEMA,
you.
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you.
But then you went on to say, if they don't treat you right, I don't call. He's a different type of person,
I don't
you
call.
said, referring to
No,
the
I
vice
don't
president.
call. No, I
Right.
don't call the governor of Washington
Why in this
now.
time of-
But Mike Pence calls, and the head of FEMA calls. I don't stop them. Did I ever ask you to do anything negative, Mike, to Washington, the state of Washington? Michigan, I love that state. That's one of my favorite places in the whole world, Michigan. And I'm so proud of what's happened with the auto industry. It's coming back to Michigan. No, I don't have to call, because I'm probably better off not, because we don't get, he's a failed presidential candidate. He's a nasty person. I don't like the governor of Washington. So you know who calls? I get Mike Pence to call. I get the head of FEMA to call. I get the admiral to call. But what you didn't say, see, you started it off, and you talked about, I have to be appreciated. But then, when you read the rest, it said, because if you don't appreciate, you're not respecting these incredible people, the two admirals, you're not appreciating FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers, who built 2,900 beds in 3.5 days, and you're not appreciating all of the work that's been done, and you're not appreciating these incredible people from private enterprise that are delivering things in numbers that nobody's ever seen. See, and that's why people aren't watching CNN very much anymore. That's why they don't like it. That's why your ratings are no good. Because you, even after knowing the truth for days now, you bring up the old lie. Read the rest of your question, the rest of your statement, you didn't put in. You have to put that in. And it said in there, FEMA, and it said in there, Army Corps of Engineers, because when they disrespect me, they're disrespecting our government. And you know what? I don't mind if I'm disrespected, but they can't disrespect the Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA. Okay.
Why is the lack of
Please
appreciation?
go ahead. I want them to appreciate the incredible job we're doing. We are doing a job the likes of which has never been done before. And there are a couple of people that know that. But for political reasons, let's say they're Democrats. They don't want to give this administration credit, and that's okay. But I don't have to deal with them. But our vice president does deal with them. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
But that's why
President.
CNN is not trusted anymore. They are not trusted. They are fake news. Remember that.
Thank you. Earlier this afternoon, you had tweeted that there are on average 8.5 million Americans tuned into these daily press briefings. Yet there are some networks out there that are, concerned about taking these briefings.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. No, I've read that.
What do you say to
Well,
these
I've read that
detractors?
CNN doesn't want to cover them. I've read that, except they can't help them because the ratings are so high. If the ratings were low, they wouldn't be here. This man wouldn't be here. In 100 years, you could bet your life that he would never be here with CNN and all their cameras if they're bad, because we help their ratings. We lift up their ratings because their ratings are very low. But for the most part, I haven't heard that. I will say the Washington Post has a drive on not to go to the President of the United States news conference because, frankly, so many people are watching. We're getting the word out. We're getting the accurate word out. And a lot of people are happy about it, and a lot of people aren't. But they should be happy. when I have the general, when I have Seema, and when I have Tony, and when I have our incredible, these are all like people that have become big stars, okay? But they've done a great job. But Deborah has done a fantastic, all of these people, they don't want to be stars. You know what they want? They want to win. They want to win the battle against the virus. They've been fighting this stuff their whole life. Between Ebola and swine flu and, I don't know, I'm not sure I'd love your life, but that's what you like, right? That's what they do. They fight disease. And you know what? There's nobody that does it better. But I think the American public, ultimately, they should be the decider. It's like, if they don't want to watch, they shouldn't watch. We're all in this together, all of us. I have never seen anything like it. The unity, the esprit de corps, the spirit, I've never seen anything like it. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Unfortunately, the enemy is death. It's death. A lot of people are dying. So it's very unpleasant. It's a very unpleasant thing to go through. But the level of competence, the level of caring, the level of love, I just think it's brilliant. And it's possibly happening in other countries. Possibly, I don't know. I can't speak to other countries, but I can speak to the United States of America. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I am very proud to be your president. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oops, there goes our box. And my hair's blowing around, and it's mine. The one thing you can't get away with, if it's not yours, you got a problem if you're president.
Now I wrote something off the cuff, if I can read this. Okay. God gave us grace on November 8, 2016, to change the course we were on. God had been taken out of our schools and lives. A nation had turned its back on God. And I encourage you to use this time at home to get back in the Word, read our Bibles, and spend time with our families. Our president gave us so much hope where just a few short months ago, we had the best economy, the lowest unemployment, and wages going up. It was amazing. With our great president, vice president, and this administration, and all the great people in this country praying daily, we will get through this and get back to a place that's stronger and safer than ever.
OAN, please, OAN.
2,405 Americans have died from coronavirus in the last 60 days.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have 2,369 children who are killed by their mothers through elective abortions each day. That's 16,500 children killed every week.
Yeah.
2 states have suspended elective abortion to make more resources available for coronavirus cases. That's Texas and Ohio. Do you agree with states who are placing coronavirus victims above elective abortions, and should more states be doing the same?
Well, I think what we're doing is we're trying to, as a group, governors, and that's Republicans and Democrats, we're just working together to solve this problem. That's been what you're mentioning has been going on for a long time, and it's a sad event, a lot of sad events in this country. But what we're doing is now we're working on the virus. We're working on that hidden enemy. We are in the process of talking about things. I saw his suggestion on that. So we'll take a look at it for a period of time, not forever. I mean, we want our country back. We're not going to be wearing masks forever, but it could be for a short period of time after we get back into gear. I could see something like that happening for a period of time. But I would hope it would be a very limited period of time. Doctors, they'll come back and say for the rest of our lives we have to wear masks.
The roadmap also talks about doing GPS for social distancing, maybe following people's phones, and hotels for isolation for people, giving them free hotel rooms. Are those ideas that you're looking at?
Well, the GPS, that's a very severe idea. I've been hearing about it, GPS. So what happens? A siren goes off if you get too close to somebody?
What do you say to Americans who are upset with you over the way you downplayed this crisis over the last couple of months? We have it very much under control in this country. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
And I do want them to stay calm, and we are doing a great job. If you look at those individual statements, they're all true. Stay calm. It will go away. You know it is going away. and it will go away, and we're going to have a great victory. And it's people like you and CNN that say things like that, it's why people just don't want to listen to CNN anymore. You could ask a normal question. The statements I made are, I want to keep the country calm. I don't want panic in the country. I could cause panic much better than even you. I would make you look like a minor league player. But you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to have our country be calm and strong and fight and win, and it will go away. And it is incredible, the job that all of these people are doing, putting them all together, the job that they're doing. I am very proud of the job they're doing, that Mike Pence is doing, that the task force has done, that Honeywell and Procter & Gamble and Mike and all of these people have done. I'm very proud. It's almost a miracle, and it is, the way it's all come together. And instead of asking a nasty, snarky question like that, you should ask a real question. And other than that, I'm going to go to somebody else. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said several times that the United States has ramped up testing. Just talk a little quicker or a little louder. Mr. President, you said several times that the United States has ramped up testing, but the United States is still not testing per capita as many people as other countries like South Korea. Why is that, and when do you think that number will be on par with other countries?
Yeah, well,
and
it's very much on par. Look, well, per capita, we have areas of country that's very hard. I know South Korea better than anybody. It's a very tight. Do you know how many people are in Seoul? Do you know how big the city of Seoul is? 38 million people. That's bigger than anything we have. 38 million people, all tightly wound together. We have vast farmlands. We have vast areas where they don't have much of a problem. In some cases, they have no problem whatsoever. We have done more tests. I didn't talk about per capita. We have done more tests by far than any country in the world, by far. Our testing is also better than any country in the world. And when you look at that, as simple as that looks, that's something that's a game changer. And every country wants that, every country. So rather than asking a question like that, you should congratulate the people that have done this testing, because this administration inherited a broken system, a system that was obsolete, a system that didn't work. It was okay for a tiny, small group of people, but once you got beyond that, it didn't work. We have built an incredible system to the fact where we have now done more tests than any other country in the world, and now the technology is really booming. I just spoke to I spoke to a lot. I'm not going to even mention. I spoke to a number of different testing companies today, and the job that they've done and the job that they're doing is incredible. But when Abbott comes out and does this so quickly, it's really unreal. In fact, one company I have to say that stands out in the job, and I think I can say this, I don't want to insult anybody else, but Roche. Roche has been incredible in the testing job they've done, and they're ramping it up exponentially. It's up, 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 up. And you should be saying congratulations instead of asking a really snarky question, because I know exactly what you mean by that. You should be saying, congratulations to the men and women who have done this job, who have inherited a broken testing system and who have made it great. And if you don't say it, I'll say it.